So it's 5.2. So were you finished off writing yesterday? It should be the one either below or beside it. If it doesn't say 5, it should say 5.2. So for the first one, we want to solve for each of the variables in the equation. So we have tan theta. So you can use A, B, C, D, any letter, but you can also use like Greek alphabet letters to represent angles. So we have tan theta is equal to 0.3762. Whenever you have the ratio as a decimal, what it's asking you to do is to find the angle. So how do we find the angle using our calculators? What do we have to do? No, I'm solving for the angle. So you have to press a specific button first. Read it. Yep, so you have to press the second function and then enter your decimal. Second function, and then press 10, and then enter your decimal, and tell me what that angle is to the nearest degree. What would it be? Yeah, round it to the nearest degree. 21? 21. So 20.6, you round that up to 21.
Okay, wait.
That's just the notation. That's the variable.
Wait, how do you do it again?
So if you have like 20.6, you round it up to 21. Yeah, if there's a decimal like this, you're looking for the angle.
Wait, how do you do this?
So second function, well, you have to enter your number first and then press second function times.
Divided by
Nope. Second function 10.
10?
Second function and then 10.
20? 21?
Yep.
Wait, so 10 is 20.6.
Yeah, so you round it up. Okay, so for the next one, we have, guys, listen up, please. I'm trying to get through this. Girls in the back, please. So we have the next one for B, we have x over 7 is equal to tan 59. How am I going to isolate for x? Look at your note from yesterday. Multiply by 7. So it's going to be x is equal to 7 times tan 59. Why am I multiplying? Because 7 is my denominator. So in order to get rid of the denominator, which is the same thing as division, I have to do the opposite, which is multiply. So can someone tell me what 7 times tan 59 gives me to the first decimal place? 11.74. So 64, so 11.6. So remember, when your variable is at the top and you have a number at the bottom, to leave the variable by itself, you're just multiplying by whatever is at the bottom. Now, what did I say yesterday for the next one when my variable is at the bottom? How do I isolate for it? Cynthia? What did I say when it's at the bottom, Elisa?
You switch the
Yeah.
10.
You switch the tan 38 and the y. They just switch places. So you have 10 over tan 38 is equal to y. So all they do is they switch places, these two. So what's 10 divided by tan 38?
12.8.
Thank you. So as you can see, this unit is just going to be very calculator heavy. So just make sure you have a scientific calculator for this unit, or else you're going to get the wrong answers every time. So whenever your variable is at the bottom, all you're doing is switching spots with the trig ratio. Yeah, 12.8. And then the next one, we have 28 over 63 is equal to 10 beta. So whenever we have a fraction or a decimal, we're going to be finding the angle. So how do I find the angle on a calculator? Yep. So second function, 10, and then enter your fraction. Yep. So you're going to do second function 10, and then the fraction 28 over 63, and round it to the nearest degree. Read up. 24. So Cynthia, for yours, you would have to do 28 divided by 63. That gives you a decimal, right?
Yeah.
And then do second function, and then 10.
I got 0.3.
Did you press second function?
Yeah.
You probably didn't.
Wait, what do you do?
So second function, press 10, and then enter your fraction. The fraction button on your calculator is ABC.
Oh, I did 36, not 60.
I got 0.4. I'm gonna do find it. I don't know. Right?
Oh, yours is in
You said
radians,
I
that's
did.
why.
Like, I did the fraction, I think.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I got it. You have to do the fraction.
Okay, I got time.
Wait, how did you do it without the ABC?
I'll try it.
Oh, she's out.
My
I couldn't
calculator
do
is
fraction.
stupid.
So how did you do it?
The way I have to do it is I do 20.
Is it 23?
Divided by
Yeah. So, no, when you round up.
second function.
Yes, how I did it was.
So I want you guys to do the rest of them, and I want you guys to post your answers up on the board. So there's 8 of them. Do them. Pick one to do if you want, 1 or 2, and then put your answers up on the board. The markers are up here. So we already did one of each. So you're going to do E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Try to solve them on your own, and then put the answer on the board. So take around 5 or 10 minutes to do that. The same thing you wrote E, except without a fraction, it's a decimal. Oh, for F?
Yeah. I don't know how to write it.
Olivia, do you want to help
I'm not sure what word.
for F?
I know the answer. I don't know the word.
So for E, Abigail did it right. So we're going to have angle theta is equal to sine inverse of 23 over 74. And when you do that, you get an angle of 18 degrees.
Is that alright? It's like so I'm gonna write it.
So now for F, we have 67 over x is equal to sine 53. So all you're doing for this one is you're switching x and sine 53. You got 18 point what? 83.9. Okay, that's fine.
Hi, how are you? Good, and you?
So the next one we have is y is equal to 15 times sine 44. So we get an answer of 10.4, which is good. To what did you put as your answer? Well, because it's 83.89, you have to round up to 83.9. That's why. Shh. And then the last one, we have angle beta is equal to sine inverse of the decimal, which is 0.6339. So the angle is 39 degrees.
Would it be fun if I put 84?
For sides, you always round up to one decimal place.
Okay.
If you're doing angles, it's always to the nearest whole angle. So for angles, you're going to round to the nearest number, nearest whole number. So for angles, you're going to round to nearest whole number. And for the sides, you're going to round to whatever decimal place I say. So round to the nearest decimal place that is specified. So for example, if I say round to the nearest tenth, that's the first decimal place. Hundredth is the second. Thousandths is the third. I don't think I'll ever go past the third one. So it's usually going to be tenths or hundredths. That's what I'm usually going to put. So now for word problems, this is where it becomes tricky because you have to draw an accurate.
Yeah. Wait, what's the other words?
For which one?
Angles inside?
Yep. So like I was saying, for word problems, the only difficult part about word problems is you have to draw an accurate drawing. Because if you mess up your drawing, you're going to mess up your whole answer. And then, yeah. And then you get 1 mark, and then you get 1 mark for your drawing, and that's it. Yep. So if I can draw balloons, you guys can draw triangles. No. Because I looked up on the thingy. No, I just knew because Cynthia mentioned her birthday was this week. You're good. Should be 83.9. So for the word problems, so sometimes I'll give you the drawing, other times you'll have to draw it yourself. So for this one, we have a surveyor stands at a point S and uses a laser transit and marking pole to sight 2 corners. So we have A and B on one side of the singular lot. So these are these points over here. So the surveyor marks a reference point from P, sorry, so P is going to be here, to the line AB, so that the line from P to S is perpendicular to AB. It's a lot of big words. Perpendicular means a right angle, so it crosses at 90 degrees. So corner A is 150 meters away from S, so which means this side here is 150. And it's 34 degrees east of P. So basically it's saying this angle here is 34 degrees. Corner B is 347 meters away from S. So this one's a bit of a complicated question because of the wording. And then it's 69 degrees west of P. Calculate the length of the lot to the nearest meter.
So we have to check.
No, you don't need to know geography. I'm never going to use east or west. This question, the only reason this question uses east or west is because they give you the drawing.
Okay.
So we want to calculate the length of the lot to the nearest meter. So we know the length of the lot is from point B to point A. So how many right angle triangles do we have in this case? We have 2. So as you can see over here, they already split it up into 2.
Oh, okay.
So if my lot is from point A to point B, I basically have to add X and Y together to get the total length of the lot. But I have to find them separately first. So
Oh, okay.
what angle are we given for the first triangle? So let's say this is 1 and this is 2. So Emma, you already said it. What angle are we given? S. So we're given angle S. Now using angle S, I need to determine if X is opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. So what would X be? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. We're talking about X. So X is opposite, and what's 347? Hypotenuse. So what uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. So I'm going to get sine S is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So I know angle S is 69. So I'm going to use sine 69 is equal to opposite, which is X, divided by my hypotenuse, which is 347. So how do I leave X by itself? Multiply by what? Nope. 347. So whenever I have X at the top, I'm always multiplying by the number that's at the bottom. I've said this like 3 times already. So you're going to multiply both sides by 347. So I get 347 times sine 69 is equal to X. So does this one say what I have to round it to? So for this one, we're going to round it to the nearest meter, which means the nearest whole number. So what's 347 times sine 69? 324?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we have X is equal to 324. So what angle am I going to use for my second triangle to find Y? Yeah. So 34 is S. So now we have to determine if Y is opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. It's opposite. The reason why it's opposite because it's directly across from angle S, and 150 is our hypotenuse. So what are we going to use again? Sine. So sine S is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, which means sine of 34 is equal to Y over 150. So how do I get Y by itself? Yep, multiply both sides by 150. So I get 150 times sine 34 is equal to Y. And who can tell me what Y is equal to the nearest meter? 84. So now what's left to do to find the length of the lot? What do I have to do with those two numbers? Add them. So total length is equal to X plus Y. So I know X is 324 and y is 84. So what's my total length? 408. And what units did we use? Meters. So therefore, the length of the lot is 408 meters. So now for the next one, unfortunately, we do not have a drawing. Yes, Rita? Mm-hmm. Yep. What do you mean?
Because for like the second triangle, we looked at us, and then we compared the opposite and
Mm-hmm.
the
Yep.
opposite. So that what we did again for the first one as well.
Yep.
That's my favorite one. No, my favorite one is.
So for these word problems, because we're using SOHCAHTOA, what I suggest you do first is draw a right angle triangle first. So for example 3, I'm going to start off by drawing a right angle triangle. So from a point that is 787 meters from the base of the CN Tower, the angle of elevation to the top is 35 degrees. We want to figure out the height of the tower. So where's 35 degrees going to go? Where's my angle of elevation always? Sarah? So the point between the ground and the hypotenuse, that's my angle of elevation. So this is going to be 35 degrees. What is my 787? Where is that going to go? At the bottom, because it's 787 meters away from the base of the CN Tower.
Wait, where did you find that 700?
It's in the first part of the question.
Oh, I was in the wrong part.
And what's the question asking us to find? The height. So where's my height going to be? Yep, the one that's straight up. So if we're using angle 35, is x opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. And what's 787? Adjacent. So what are we going to use? SOHCAHTOA. Yeah. We're going to use 10. So it's going to be 10, 35 is equal to opposite over adjacent. So we have 10, 35 is equal to x over 787. How do I isolate for x? Multiply both sides by what? So I'm going to get 787 times 1035 is equal to x. And who can tell me what that answer is to the nearest meter? Abby? Perfect. So therefore, the CN Tower is 551 meters tall. Is that true?
It wouldn't work the same if you do like 1035 divided by 787, just like do that, right?
Nope. Because my x is on top,
Yeah.
I always have to leave it by itself. I have to multiply by whatever's at the bottom of it. However, when x is at the bottom, then you can switch the places between tan of the angle and the x or the y.
The same size fine.
Is that what it says online? Huh, it's pretty accurate.
Is it correct?
Yep.
No.
So now what you're going to do, since we have this already figured out, let's try to do number 4 together. We'll draw it together, and then we'll see what we can do. So a ladder leaning up against a wall makes an angle of 31 degrees with the wall. So let's draw our right angle triangle first. So what part of this triangle is going to be the wall? Where's the wall going to be labeled as? The height. Okay, what is going to be my ladder? The hypotenuse is going to be my ladder because it's leaning against the wall. So do you guys don't have that example, right? Or do you? Oh, so we'll just do this together as an extra. You have it? Okay.
It's like right under the blown distance.
So the first piece of information is we have the ladder makes an angle of 31 degrees with the wall. So where's that 31 degrees going to go? At the top. Because it makes an angle of 31 degrees with the wall. So wherever the ladder and the wall meet, it makes an angle of 31 degrees.
I remember this question. Maybe that question. It was on the CPT.
Ah. Now the next piece of information we have is the ladder touches a box that is flushed against the wall and the ground. So basically, the box is the same. It's touching the wall. That's where the box is. So the wall and the box are basically the same thing in this question. So how tall is the box?
64.
64. So that's going to be the height of the triangle. And what is the width of my box? So let me just draw this out. So this is the box over here. So it has a height of 64 and a width of 27. Pardon? Well, let's see. What's the question asking us to do?
How long is your centimeter is the ladder?
So what part of the triangle are we supposed to find? Olivia? The hypotenuse. So what piece of information is useless about the box? Olivia? The 27. Okay. I do not need the 27 to find the height of or the length of the ladder because I just really need the height of the box to help me find it. So if the height is 64 centimeters and the angle it makes with the wall is 31 degrees, remember I'm using 31 degrees. So what would 64 be? Adjacent, opposite, or hypotenuse? Adjacent. And what are we trying to find? The hypotenuse. So, what has adjacent and hypotenuse? Cos. So I'm going to do cos of 31 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So I have cos of 31 is equal to 64 over x. So now in order to leave x by itself, what do I do? Olivia? Yep, so they just switch places. So I get x is equal to 64 divided by cos of 31. So what would the height or what would the length of the ladder be to the nearest centimeter? $75. So our answer is 74.7, but because we have to round up, it is going to be 75. Therefore, the length of the ladder is 75 centimeters. So again, whenever you're doing these questions, draw your right angle triangle first. Yes, Abby?
Are you gonna give us these, like, on the test, like, the equations or whatever?
Like
Like
SOHCAHTOA?
tan equals, like, are you gonna do like tan equals opposite over adjacent? Are you gonna give us that, or do you have to remember?
Well, you kind of have to because we're doing sine law and cosine law as well. So it's
We don't have to memorize it?
you don't have to. I'll give it to you on like a formula sheet of some sort. So yeah, basically a little cheat sheet, but it's just with equations on it, so it's fine. So what you can do now is you can work on the questions in the book, and then tomorrow we'll take those up because probably some of the word problems are going to be a bit challenging. So try your best to draw your diagram